You said something that frightened me. I never thought about this until you were talking about this topic just now, but the ability to pay later. When it comes to gambling right now, I'm not sure if anything exists like that out there, but that's my biggest concern because what I do see a lot of is the lure. Freebies that they'll offer people, hotel stays or $600 credits and things like that to lure you in. And people want the things that the lure is representing. And so they'll go. But now that you're there, the spiral is, a high potential for you to spiral into the gaming behavior. And so, I really do wonder, Daniel, where with technology, with the old school ways, with the rise of everything new coming out, I really wonder where gambling is going to turn that corner to pull more people in. Because right now, a lot of people don't know, they just do not understand whether or not they even have gambling behavior because of how acceptable culturally so many things that fall under gambling behavior are.
Yeah, I mean, you're hitting very valid points. Like it's clever marketing that came off of Madison Avenue
Mm,
out of New York on, what's considered sort of loss leading advertising or loss leading product in order to get somebody in the door to spend more, right? Like
yeah,
these are theories in application that have been applied pretty much across the board since Madison Avenue really had an advertising boom.
mm,
What you're saying makes a ton of sense, and I think it's very, very real. In the gambling ecosystem, I think there are some things that are getting better when it comes to friction points that are being thrown in front of people and educational tools
yeah,
being thrown in front of people. I think everybody was so excited that the Supreme Court overturned the Professional Amateur Sports Protection Act in 2018, and the states saw a direct path to revenue. I think it was sort of viewed as the next gold rush. And so let's get systems up and let's get everything managed and get everything operational and, start collecting some tax revenue for the states and things like this. And, I think as we've gone on, we've started to open our eyes a little bit to how inundated we are with all of this as it's all
yeah,
legalized, right? And I think
yes.
yeah, the implementation of some, spending tracking tools is a good thing. Kicking credit cards out as a payment method is a
Mhm.
good thing. Like
Very
it
good.
does, it helps, to a degree. I'm not going to say it's solving all of the problems because I think, as an individual who has a gambling issue is going to find a way to gamble regardless,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
So while it does sort of put some friction points in place, it doesn't completely solve the issue, but it's more consumer protections than were there before. And I think as we keep getting smarter and data tells us more and more about the way that people are spending and the patterns that they're spending and things like this, we just get smarter as educators on how we approach these things, right? But all of this sort of leads to financial systems becoming harder to navigate later, right? Like
Yes, they
if
do.
you're going in one direction for very, very long and then you stop and you need to try to take another direction, it's a whole nother thing that you have to learn, right? And like adults who never developed early financial frameworks often face a steep learning curve when they encounter things like taxes and insurance and retirement planning and debt restructuring
Yeah.
and investment decisions, things like this. When everything is available at the touch of a button and you can buy it for 99 cents, when you go the other way and you're like, okay, well, how do I make this money make money?
Hmm.
And like, how do I shift my mindset of this is an instant gratification and I'm going to put my finger right here and it's going to instantly gratify me versus, man, I just dropped something into an investment vehicle and it's going to be 3 to 6 months before I start seeing any sort of return,
Exactly.
and then it's like, this is
Hmm.
not as exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like most people don't have high volumes of cash to start pushing around through investment vehicles in the markets to see the kind
Right.
of gains that give you the kind of reward hit that you get when you're spinning a wheel for $1 and you get 20 back. You know what I mean? So like it's very unique to think about how what we're doing now is going to impact us later and how we're not educating for the later. We're
Hmm.
spending for the now, if that makes sense, you know.
It makes complete sense.
And I think, you know, my last point on this is like one of the things that is becoming more and more obvious is, you know, emotional spending is
Oh,
becoming
yes.
a massive coping tool. And I
Yeah.
think that's like where a lot of people go wrong. And this is like, you know, again, if you're not thinking about how to structure your finances and you've got out of depression and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you think that that dress that you're looking at on Amazon is going to make you happy,
Hmm.
even though it's, you know, $180. And the reality is like when you wake up in the morning, you're going to go, damn, that was like groceries for the week. Crap. Um,
Yeah, yeah. But you don't realize it until you actually need those groceries. Like when
Right,
you look
you know,
for
but
something and you're
yeah,
like,
and
wait a
then you
minute.
do it,
Yeah.
you just do it anyway. Like you just buy it anyway. I've seen guys who like their thing is they buy camping gear. But it's like they'll prioritize buying camping gear over everything else. And when they get a little sad and they get a little down, it's like, I need another tent. And you're like, man, tents ain't what they used to be. Tents can be like thousands of dollars now. This
Yeah.
is a little
Yeah.
crazy. So, for lack of a better analogy, everybody gets their rocks off one way or the other,
One way or
right?
another. That's
Yeah,
why I love that Cambridge offers a space for both therapy and coaching for people with
yeah.
problem gambling, because you need to learn those coping skills that aren't the ones that will cause you more harm, even though they don't seem harmful. Shopping doesn't seem harmful, but if you're replacing that for another addiction, it will become harmful over time.
The reward after effort elements is also one thing to, I think, pay attention to. Even when I was given the example earlier of the first competitive sport that I remember being introduced to was soccer, the goal wasn't just to win the game, it was to win the season and to win the championship. And that takes a lot of hard work and dedication and practice and honing of a craft in
Yeah.
order to make it through a season successfully where you can stand as the champion at the end of it.
Mm.
Versus, yeah, hey, if I'm triggering something like emotional spending to the reward and effort idea, I'm getting a reward for very little effort
Yeah.
by the touch of a button or the swipe of a button or, you know, whatever it is, however, you know, look at the face, whatever it is. You're wanting faster delivery of the rewards because of
Exactly.
everything that you're engaging in. Right. And like
Yeah.
when you kind of come out of this mindset of like, you know, like I just remember my grandparents being like, you know, work hard for your whole life and it'll pay off. You know what I mean? Now it just seems like we don't want to work hard, or at least there's a
Right. We just want the payoff.
we just want the payoff. And I think like with the introduction of the smartphone brought into our life the ability for instantaneous reward as the tech developed over time and transformed. Now we're really sort of stuck in this place of if I really need to feel better, instead of going outside and doing something outside, or like I see it a lot with parents, it's like instead of engaging with your kids, for dads it's like you get oxytocin from playing with your kids. Like that's just a way that we feel better about ourselves and about
Yeah.
everything else going on. But it's like, okay, well now that's been replaced with dad running off and hiding in the bathroom and doing something on the phone that he doesn't want other people seeing. And like
Yeah.
that could be anything. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. It
whatever,
really could.
you know, like whatever it is that's going to give this person a temporary hit of relief, so to speak, and a spike of dopamine is what the person's going to go disappear and engage with instead of doing traditionally normal activities in a lot of cases, not all
Not
cases.
all, but you're right, and a lot. And I love how you brought up that point about the cell phones in general, because before cell phones, you had to either wait till you get home to make a call or go by a phone booth, but you had to wait, right? And now they've cut the wait out where everyone can have access to multiple phones on you at any time. There is no wait, and that has shifted how people think and how the brain has adapted to need when it comes to I need to make a call. You could wait before with no pressure, but now you absolutely there's no distance between wait, which brings me to one of the top things that one of my gamblers has told me has been her saving grace, and it's the ability to delay. When you were saying that, all I kept thinking about is we're wiping out the ability to delay as technology continues to rise.